Hey, I'm Charles. This is part two of what will probably be a two-part series, but if you see anything during this video or the last one that makes you think that there would be a good part three, let me know in the comments and we will investigate. Yeah, so links to the part one and to some more documentation about this thing is down in the comments, or sorry, in the description. Anyway, let's kick in where we left off, more or less. I've done some discovery, additional discovery on it. So, this is, I have now learned, what's called a B-Toys Woofer. I intentionally did not look that up before the last video. I like to do that just because there's more fun in discovery. You're not tempted to look up somebody else's work and kind of just jump in from there. You actually spend some time investigating it yourself. Bad news up front on this: I have not been able to find a pitch bend on it or the clock itself. I'll go into it a little bit more here in a minute, but I think it's underneath one of the dreaded black blobs, which of course, or at least for me, makes this less interesting just because you can't make as cool of sounds as quickly or as easily. So this is more or less a sampler, right? Each button has different sounds that it can make, and it's all, obviously pre-recorded samplers. Some of them actually I would say that they're might be made on the device themselves, but you can tell, especially from like the howl setting, that it's actually a person's voice, making the barking sound, and then that's been sampled to whatever key. But like I said, if you see something I've missed or want me to try something out, let me know. So additional notes, more played with this more since the last video. Just wanted to tell you some more of the controls, some other things that I've figured out. So first of all, the music note here is for simple songs, so no vocals, just plays through. There's a link in the description that takes you to a full songbook. This thing is really intended by the manufacturer to be a musical instrument. They actually have a songbook that teaches you how to play additional music with obviously the notes and lots of description on how to use it. So simple songs here on the note key. I called it a pig button in the last video, and I'm sticking to it. It's probably supposed to be a puppy dog, but to me it looks more like a pig. So we're going to call that the pig button. A button that I completely missed until I was taking it apart and looking at it in more detail is this strum. I looked it up. It was a little weird. I couldn't get it to work exactly the way they described it, except for like once or twice. But basically the idea of the strum is it will play 2 seconds of the clip at the same time. When you start one of these songs, it will play 2 seconds of the clip, and you actually have to strum, or at least move any one of these strings to play the next 2 seconds. So it's actually, you're advancing the song as you strum, which is a pretty neat idea. Anyway, one really cool thing about this, I said this was the simple songs. These are what I'm calling real songs, and it's fun because they are, I think Stairway to Heaven was on there. There was like maybe Sweet Home Alabama. Obviously all the lyrics have been changed to make it a puppy dog theme, but it was really interesting that and there are both male and female vocals on there. So it was really neat. Like I said, this is really well thought out, designed. Manufacturer put a lot of effort into this one, which I do definitely appreciate. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to flip it back over. We can look inside of it still. Said it last time, and I want to say it again. I think the build quality on this on the inside is really, really good. The mode selector, for example, so this is the where you select acoustic, electric, and howl. There's a 4-position switch under here, so that's a manual connection. It's actually moving that switch to change from off to one of the 3 modes, and it's well built, well put in there. hard to break if you're throwing this around as a kid. And everything's kind of glued down and screwed down. Just a simple something like that where there's a blob of glue on it, and holding that wire in place. Blob of glue and built-in molded little pins for that wire to fit in there. A lot of toys aren't going to have that sort of thing. And like I said last time, some of these you just you open it up and everything falls out, and this one's definitely built to keep it together. One thing along those lines that I wanted to look at is, and I've definitely appreciated this this off button. I've tried my best to keep it in here just because the nose in here, because the button is a little recessed, but I've definitely appreciated being able to push that to shut off the sounds whenever they're making it. So wanted to show you this in particular, again, just sort of go into the build quality and how accessible this tool is for accessible this tool is just in general. I've already removed these screws mostly so we can get to this, but so this is the bridge of the guitar. We looked at it last time. Each of those strings individually does something, but if you look down in here, get that wire out of the way, each one of those strings, I'm not going to pluck it because it'll start a sound, but each one of those strings you can see is tied in there. There's a little knot that you can see, and then it's got this pretty cool, well designed slider that actually makes physical connection with the with a switch right there, and then obviously the spring to pull the string back tight. And looked at last time, these strings can be tightened, right? So like if the strings begin to sag and you care about it enough, you can pull this apart and pull the strings back more tight so that you can continue to play with it. Kid can continue to play with it. Let's see what else. All right, so now let's go back. Let's look at the circuit board here. So unscrewed the thing. I'm calling this the SMD, surface mount design, side of the board. And then you flip it over, and you can see there's some through-hole components attached and some wires soldered in, poking through from this side over to here. There's also what I think is pretty cool. We'll go into this a little bit in the middle. This is an integrated chip, an IC, which is really a breakout of this daughter board right here. There are 3 black blobs on this device. This is the main one, microcontroller. You can see all of the physical button connections running into this thing. So that's U1 marked on the board. It's got cut off by the black blob overflow. U2 is this, like I said, IC. It's neat to have a modular design like this. The manufacturer obviously can pull this out. This is where all the howl settings come from, so all the dog specific stuff, which is neat because, like I said, the manufacturer could pull this out, you could pull this out and put in different samples if you want, connected here. The other black blob right here is the amp. So some physical connections, soldered connections that I've found here. Like I said, this is the amp. So these 2 are the leads out to the speakers. The ground, I'm pretty sure this is the ground, is right here. It's either the ground or the power. It's underneath this C10 marking. It's not C10 itself. It's just reference lined up with that. The power is here. Again, one of these is ground, one of these is power. I'm forgetting right now which one's which. The other fun one, because you know how much I love it, this top one down here, this is that off button, the puppy dog's nose. And checking my notes, make sure that, yeah, so all of the guitar sounds, all of the dog sounds are here, but all of the guitar sounds, acoustic and electric, seem to be coming from this blob. I can manually trigger some of these to make guitar sounds, and then some of these to make dog sounds. The most interesting anything, I didn't say it, so that you can play along with the music, the sounds can be played over top of each other, right? So the most interesting bend that I found, like I said, is really just triggering samples. Is I basically, bunch of spit on my finger, just ran it across the top of this. Here, I'll do it for fun. I can't get it now. Oh wait, it's probably not in howl mode. That's what it is. I guess the trigger for these, contrary to what I said, maybe the all of the samples come from that, not just the dog. But it's back in dog mode now, or howl. I can't get it. One time I was able to get basically a bunch of dog sounds by doing that. Anyway, you can tell, like I said, it's a sampler. I can't get any kind of pitch bend doing that, but you can trigger more or less all of the samples by various short combinations in there. I talked about a pause last time. I thought it was on this side of the resistor. I actually found it up here. Basically, if you've got anything playing and make a connection from this side sorry, make a connection from this side to this side, it's got that pause effect. I did find one more interesting something, which was a pretty significant, buzz right there and here. Do some Morse code if you know that. Definitely an interesting sound that you can get it to make, but without a pitch bend or something hard to do. Again, if you know more about this than I do, please mention in the comments if that's something that should explore some more. Let's see what else. So then flipping over onto this side, I will say one more thing. I've multiple times now I've talked about the build quality, how impressed I've been. This is your exception. A lot of these, basically every one of these connections across the bottom, not sure why that doesn't have one, but it's got two pads for the wire connections to come in from the various buttons. This is usually for like a structural stability. You loop the wire through both of those and then solder it. That was not done that way, and this is was this one like this when I found it. All these wires kind of hanging loose and whatever. So the soldering, you can also tell there's a couple of cold joints here and there. So anyway, the connecting the wires is really the exception to what I was talking about earlier with build quality. So okay, so then on to other side. Like I said, there's the daughter board. Now, like I said, I just with playing it there for another second, I think it is all of the sound samples, not just the dog, but black blob here. And then some of these are labeled. This was kind of neat. Obviously, FEDC are the notes along the neck. Like I said, these two pads, P0 and C, go together, and then B is down in here. You can kind of see it underneath the glue, see through the glue there. That was one that didn't have a second pad, which I thought was interesting. There might be a note letter marking right there, but I have done my best to peer through this glue and haven't been able to decipher what that letter is, but my guess is it is one of the note letters. So only thing that might be interesting as a bend, an additional something to try, this J1 and J2 here are just wire jumpers from one point to another. I did some tracing on the other side, tried to figure out what that might do if I disconnected that. If I was getting more interesting stuff from this device, I might go in and pull these, desolder or clip these to see what it does, and maybe I will. But for now, I think I'm going to keep this thing in as a functional toy and hand it off to one of my nieces or nephews to mess with. And that might be it. That's the end of my list of show notes, stuff that I wanted to cover for this. So, like I said a couple times, if you are better at this than I am, more interested in this instrument in particular, put some notes in the comments and tell me other things that I should try. And beyond that, the B Toys Howl is a fun little musical instrument to mess with. So go find one at your local Goodwill or something else, and I'll see you next time. My name's Charles. Take care.